जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे त्रयोषि त्वां प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः. Namaskar viewers. Today we have a very special topic and special person with me. We are going to talk about how much it is important to have a spiritual angle to our life. And I always feel the most entitled or authentic person to speak about it is our Dharma Guru, rather than everyone talking about it in their own way. I think those who have read about it, who have studied that, and who are living that by example, they are the right people to give us guidance. And as always, everyone says that intellectuals and scholars of the society define the narratives of the society. So it is our responsibility to take advice and guidance from such people who are leading that life, and who other than can sages and sadhus of our community can give us that guidance. It is an honor and privilege and a divine coincidence to welcome a sadhaka, and a disciple of Ramakrishna mission, Sadhvi Pravrajika Jnanamayaprana. Mataji is a follower of Ramakrishna order, and she's living in Rishikesh currently. So let us listen to her. So Mataji, as I said in the beginning, you took the decision of serving the people of nation, mankind, and also following the divine path. So can I ask you this? How advisable it is to renounce the entire desires and then get into this kind of service?
This is a purely personal and individual decision. So for one person, it might be highly unadvisable. And for someone else, it will be not only advisable, it is imperative also. It may be imperative. So it is a purely individual thing.
Okay, so my first question for you on today's topic, that is, what is the purpose of spirituality in the life of humankind?
Actually, you see, I would like to rephrase that question. There is no purpose for spirituality in life. Actually, the purpose of life itself is spirituality.
Okay.
So there is nothing else in life except spirituality. So everything we do, even people who have no interest in religion, have no interest in spirituality, even for them, spirituality is the only purpose. You might think this is very strange, so I will clarify. What do we mean by spirituality? Okay? The word spirituality comes from the word spirit. Now, spirit, it is difficult to understand.
Yes.
In order to understand it, we have to understand its opposite, which is actually materialism. So there are two things, spirit and material. Now, when we say someone is materialistic, or has a material outlook in life, that means that person is going after creature comforts, fulfillment of one's physical needs, or even intellectual needs come into that, to get name and fame in society, everything that the world can give you.
Yes.
Even a so-called materialistic person, why does he or she seek those things? To be happy, right?
Yes.
To be he or she thinks that in order to prosper in the material aspect of life, one can be happy, one can get peace, and one can get love. These are the three main things every human being wants: to be happy, peaceful,
Yes.
and to love, to
Yes.
get love, and to love others, both.
Yes. Yes.
But as we go on in our life, and when I say life, I do not mean one life.
No.
I mean series of life, our whole journey, which encompasses many, many lives. Everyone reaches a stage when one realizes that these three things, love, peace, and happiness, cannot be attained through material needs. And then he or she turns inward, goes towards religion or spirituality or some guru, some ashram, goes away from materialism.
Yes.
So spirituality is actually nothing but the search, or actually to find love, peace, and happiness. So life is nothing except spirituality. Or someone may say they are officially or formally on the spiritual path, like say myself or even you and so many other sadhakas.
Yes.
Even people who are not on the spiritual path, they are also looking for love, peace, and happiness.
And satisfaction. Yes.
Yes, but they are looking in a different direction.
Yes. Yes.
So while pursuing, going in that direction, eventually at some point they will go towards spiritual life. So we are all on the spiritual path.
Wow.
So life itself is nothing but to approach spirituality. To become spiritual, because spirit is nothing but love personified, peace personified, and bliss or happiness personified.
Yes. Yeah, I think now I can very well visualize it, that everyone is looking for these three things in life, and in the due course, they all will come back to divinity, to some sort of a divine touch to their life, which will give them that satisfaction, happiness, and peace eventually.
Yes.
Mataji, generally people make confusion or mix religion and spirituality together. So, is it correct? And if not, what is the difference?
Religion and spirituality, in some ways they overlap each other, and in some ways they don't.
Okay.
So it's like having two circles. Okay, circles which are joined together. In some part of the circle, they unite.
Yes.
But in the rest of part of the circles, in both circles, they are totally different.
True.
So every religion has an aspect of spirituality, because every religion also tries to give man that love, peace, and happiness in its own way. In that way, when it goes away from materialism towards divinity, we can say in that way all religions are spiritual and are one. But there is a part of every religion, and I mean every religion, which is outside that part where they are conjoined, which has little relation with spirituality. Am I making myself clear? So in a way, religion and spirituality, in some places, they are the same. And in some places, they do not overlap.
Okay, so spirituality, just to make it more clear, spirituality does not mean following certain rituals, but religion can mean so.
Exactly. But see, at the same time, whenever any religion says that these are my rituals, that religion is also trying to go towards spirituality itself.
Yes.
Though those rituals itself is not spiritual.
No, but they are means to go.
They are means to it. So you cannot say that these rituals are nothing to do with spirituality.
Right.
You say that either.
Yeah.
And every religion has their own way, own rituals, or own way of praying,
True.
or own way of social gathering, or all those external means that are used by different religions in different ways to approach that spirituality.
Makes sense.
I'm making myself clear.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, now I can very well see this, that the rituals are the ways or the tactics to channelize your energy, to focus yourself on spirituality or divinity, and to give you that discipline. There are some activities that you perform, and that's how you get diverted towards the spiritual aspect of it.
Yes.
Right.
But see, now your question is, many people, they get lost in
Yes.
those means,
Yes.
in rituals or those practices, or say social gatherings, or
Yes.
whatever it is,
Yes.
and they lose their sight that this is just the means to become spiritual, and this is not spirituality itself. And then this conflict of ideas, conflict between religions, between groups of people, because they lose sight of the goal and they get with the means. And then in the process of it, spirituality just goes away. And while trying to take care of their own religion, they lose sight of spirituality itself.
True. And the whole focus is on following those rituals, and the main purpose behind that is lost.
Yes.
Got it. Mataji, now in the same context, there are many organizations, many set up groups who say that we will teach you meditation, we'll teach you spiritualism, we will give you the tactics of meditation. So in that process, people do outwardly try to become more polished, more social etiquettes, more maybe sensitive behavior. But is that the complete achievement of spiritual state, or are there the signs of spirituality?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Actually, you will even find the opposite. There, one comes across those who are deeply, intrinsically, very purely spiritual, and yet they have a very rough exterior.
Yes.
They may be rude. They may be outspoken.
Yes.
They have hardly anything to do with social etiquettes.
True.
Are absolutely unpolished.
Yes. Strict.
So yes, very strict.
Yes.
And even you may even not want to, you might find them to be, at first acquaintance, you might even want to stay from that kind of person.
True.
But the person's heart may be so pure.
Yeah.
You see, so externalism, how a person is externally and what they have inside their heart is very different. It has nothing to do with spirituality. But I would still like to add to that people who are trying to improve their external behavior, improve their speech, and become a little sensitive.
Settle. Yeah.
You use that word sensitive. I wouldn't say sophisticated. I would say sensitive. That is also a good thing. That also be a good thing, because see, if you want to become more sensitive, if you want to have more control over your speech and your behavior, that means you have to be more aware of yourself, what you are saying, what you are doing, how your own speech and behavior affect other people in society and people you interact with. And it makes you sensitive, you said. So it increases a person's self-control and self-awareness. So that is also a good thing. It can lead one towards spirituality, but it is not a litmus test of one's spirituality. Spirituality is a very, very subtle and very deep. There is no external sign which can prove that such and such a person is spiritual.
Yeah. the very reason I raised this point is, as you rightly said, it's a good start to get into this mode through various means, and it is also becoming sensitive to your surrounding, to your extended families or society for that matter, and also becoming little more compassionate and patient than reacting at the spur of a moment and getting into disliking and liking more. Mataji, you know what? There are many reference material available now for people to refer and read about our scriptures, about our religions. Um, there are a lot of universities and institutes who are taking the efforts. There are WhatsApp universities also who spread the knowledge, whether authenticate or verified or not, but it is there. And it does influence masses, whether we like it or not. So, what I want to say is, what is the difference between knowledge and wisdom?
Knowledge is just information.
Okay.
Wisdom is the internal capacity of each and every one to process that knowledge
Mhm.
and use it at the right time in the right situation. And at the same time, wisdom goes far ahead. Someone may not have knowledge, someone may not have information, but life itself, life's experience,
Yes.
and the innate depth of that person
Yes.
makes the person wise, though he or she may not have knowledge or information.
Or a very highly qualified and certified background.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yes. Yes.
yes. Actually, that doesn't have much to do with wisdom.
I would like to hear more on that.
Wisdom comes from not just the experiences of one life, but of many lives. We have lived in our lives in various situations, good, bad. We have been poor, we have been rich, we have lived in very favorable situations where we have wealth and creature comforts. At the same time, we have lived in situations where we have been deprived and we have to struggle a lot and face all kinds of problems in life. And all these experiences make a person introspective and go inside and deepen one's perspective. That is where wisdom grows. That is where wisdom comes from. Wisdom comes from maturity, whereas knowledge can just come from books or, like you say, in the internet, or to be well informed and all those things. Knowledge has, but then in our scriptures, when they talk about knowledge, they actually mean wisdom. You see, in our script, when you open any Vedantic scripture, they use the word wisdom a lot. Very rarely it comes. They usually use the word knowledge, jnana. But what they mean is wisdom.
Jnana means wisdom. It never means knowledge.
No.
Yes, true. Okay, now on this point, Swami Vivekananda has said that you cannot teach spirituality empty stomach. Having said so, physical discomfort and the basic needs, if it is not available, it's very hard for a person to relate to spirituality. He may be able to relate to religion, but to spirituality is a little hard. So here Bhagavad Gita reference for that matter, not shloka, but then it is like the grace of God is also required for you to get onto the path of that. Will not name it spirituality, but the peace and the satisfaction and the detachment. Now, how do we? Because masses are not happy with their physical discomfort situation. with their materialistic happiness and satisfaction situation. So they are still, struggling and struggling. So how do we convince them that there should be somewhere, there should be an aim to this, and they should divert their mind towards God?
I'm giving you bad news.
Sorry.
It's not possible to convince them.
Okay.
It is not possible to convince them.
Hmm.
Everyone has to walk their own path.
Hmm.
And in the beginning, one has to go and seek satisfaction in the external world,
Okay.
in materialism.
Okay.
After one has spent some time looking for it in the external world and not finding it, or getting lots of blows, then one goes to spiritual life. Without that experience, without the initial bhog, we use the word bhog.
Oh, yes.
Bhog and yoga. Without some satisfaction of bhog, one cannot enter the path of yoga. I will give you an example. This is a story from our Puranas.
Okay.
Maybe you heard of the king Yayati.
Yes.
Do you know the story of Yayati? It's very interesting. He was cursed by a rishi. How he got this is another story. But pertaining to our conversation, only this much is important. He was cursed by a rishi that you will lose your youth.
Yes.
Your youth. And as the usually when after all these rishis curse them, the person is very repentant. And then he falls at his feet and he says, no, please forgive me. So then the rishi, of course, he feels little, he melts down. He becomes compassionate and then he alters his curse. And so this time also same thing happens. And the rishi Shukracharya tells him that, all right, if someone is ready to give his own youth to you and take your old age, then you can become young again. And then when you are done, you can get back your old age and give that person back your youth. So Yayati was very happy. He said, I have 3 young sons. They are very good sons. They will be very happy to give me their youth. So he goes to the oldest one and he says, well, no, father, why should I do that? Oldest one says no. The middle one says no. Finally, the youngest one, whose name was Puru, he was an obedient, considerate son. And he says, all right, father, I give you my youth. And then when he said that, Yayati's old age went to Puru and Yayati became an old man and he was already a king. So he just enjoyed his life, okay? External life, what we called bhog. What you are saying, that all these masses, they are not interested in spirituality and how do we convince them, etc. So Yayati, for the story goes, for 1,000 years, he enjoyed himself. He enjoyed his kingdom and external bhog. Then he realized after 1,000 years, and it is a very famous Sanskrit slok, that like a burning fire, desire is like a burning fire. When we add ghee, clarify in the fire, what happens to the fire? It grows even stronger. So our desires, when we fulfill them, it's like pouring ghee to that fire. And then those desires keep increasing. But when we stop adding ghee or any fuel, if we leave the fire alone, it will finally die out. So when we leave our desires alone, when we stop trying to fulfill them, slowly they decrease and eventually die out. Now, this story of Yayati, many people know.
Right.
But their desires don't decrease. And they do not stop adding ghee in the fire of their desires. So listening to this story not change our heart, does not change our attitude. Why? Why? The answer is each and every one of us has to walk the path of Yayati, becoming Yayati, and has to experience this truth in one's own heart, in the depth of one's own heart, without someone teaching us, without books, without any external influence. One has to learn within one's own heart, from one's own experience. And that is when one transforms oneself and goes towards the spiritual path. So it is not possible to convince other people. You have to let them be. This is actually wisdom. When we try to convince other people, it's like that we are using knowledge, our so-called knowledge, our information, or say our own wisdom. But it's not, it's that wisdom is still very raw. It's not ripe enough. The sign of true wisdom is when we stop convincing people whom we know this person is not going to be convinced, and let them be
the way they are.
But there are some people in between who are, they feel some unsatisfied with both. At the same time, they do not feel so enthusiastic about life either. There are people, you see, now so far we have talked about two groups.
Yes.
They are on the spiritual path or on total the path of bhog.
Yes.
But there are plenty of people in between.
Yes.
For those in between people, how can we influence them? They are influenced only by satsang. When they come into contact with people who are bhogis, they go to bhog.
Yeah.
When they come into contact with people who are spiritually inclined, they go towards spiritual life. And to those people also, I would suggest not to try to convince them by words, but by ourselves living spiritual life. Yes. And by being with us, they themselves will naturally become, because already that dissatisfaction with bhog has already started.
True.
And with our satsang, if we are truly genuine, we should also be very spiritual. You see, that is also a big problem. There are many people who think they are spiritual, but it is actually just their ego. So if we are truly spiritual, then just not by trying to convince the other person, but by being with that person will want to go towards spiritual life. And that is also a good idea of how spiritual we are. If we can convince another person, if we can influence another person without trying to convince him or her through words, then that is a sign that we are also truly becoming spiritual.
Now, Ma, with this discussion, one very strong question comes to my mind is, as you say, there are good amount of people who are in between. Who are not clear where to go. Somewhere the materialistic life is attracting them. It's a simple maya. It can be a liking for the family or for profession or for the fame or name, as you said, or it could be more to that. And somewhere they are also liking to invite sadhu santa to their home and do puja archa and some satsanga karakrama. Some bhog in the sense nevedya offering puja, that kind of thing. So now to keep that balance or to keep that sattvic bhava jagrut all the time in daily life, because if I am in company of you, for that matter, I'll be in a super spiritual mood and I would not think about anything. But the moment I'm back to my work, to my home, to my profession, other things start overcoming my spiritual bhava. Now, how do we practice this in our daily life?
The answer to that will vary according to the person, according to the temperament of the person. In our daily life, there should be some time during the day which will make us think of the divine. It is easy to do it just before going to bed. That would be the first thing. The second easiest would be just immediately after getting out of the bed. Another thing is to remind oneself before taking food. Like that. During the day, there should be some time in between the day. Every 6 hours, every 4 hours, some kind of indication where we can just for just a moment, we can stop what we are doing. We don't even have to stop. We can
mentally just get detached from it.
Yes. The mentally we can just remember our own divine self, or our Ishta Devata, or our spiritual guru, or anything spiritual. It does not have to be something, like you said, something with has a religious spirit symbol, but just something spiritual, like the ocean of bliss, or the beautiful, the moon of devotion, or something like that, some symbol from nature.
Yeah.
Make us more think of the divine. So to intersperse our day, so that we can think of him or her, our divine nature, throughout the day at various points. That is actually the only way to do it, if you're doing it on your own. Another thing is to have a small group of friends who help each other. See, if you're trying to do this, if you're all alone, then it becomes a little difficult. But if you have one or two friends, or a group of friends who are also to
Same path.
spiritual journey, then you help each other. So satsang in various ways. Satsang need not mean someone who wears gerua or white clothes or something. Satsang is just the person's mind. So satsang is number one, and second is during the day to have various time periods where one looks within oneself of one's divine nature.
And that comes with practice. You have to practice. A lot of practice. Yes,
lot of practice. And the important thing is, see, in doing this practice, it's in the beginning one is going to fail thousands of times. What happens is, oh my God, I'm trying this, it's not working. I tried it, it's not working. And after a few days, you feel, I'm not going to be able to do this. Let me forget about it. So like another month or two goes. Then again, something happens in our life, and we feel we should start again.
Yeah.
This is usually the normal scenario.
Okay.
The thing one should remind oneself is, there is no such thing as defeat. Every attempt, though we feel that this attempt I have been unsuccessful, there is no such thing as a defeat, as unsuccess, that I have failed. Every attempt is a step towards the goal. So we try it, we're going to fail, we try again, we're going to fail. And then when we leave it, we feel that, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do it. Then you put it away. Then after many days, you feel, oh, how can I go back? I have left it. I have left it for a month, or maybe even 6 months, or maybe even a few years. There are plenty of people like that. I started my spiritual life, then I thought, oh, I'm not able to do it, let me leave it. Or something came up, or I got distracted, whatever may be the situation. Then after, I feel, oh my God, it's done deal. I can't go back. No. It's not like that. The path, the door is always open. It's like you have done spiritual practice for, let's say, a month. You have earned money, You have your wage for a month, you put it in the bank. Suppose you don't think about it for 3 years. Is that money disappear? No. It's still there.
It will sit there.
It's still there. So even if for whatever reason, out of one's own laziness, or we give up, or get into some bad company or something, situation, no matter what the reason is, if we give up our spiritual practice, if we go back after a long time, whatever we did then is still available to us. So one should never feel disheartened. That is the thing we must remember.
अच्छा चित्तम समाधातु न शक्नोसि मयि स्थिरम अभ्यास योगेन ततो मामिच्छाप्तुम धनंजय.
Exactly. Abhyas, lot of practice.
Now we come to the another problem in the spiritual path, Mataji. One is the sadhaka, the one who wants to follow it. Another one is the range of organizations or the groups available who will try to give you the knowledge about it. So somewhere I read that there are different types of spirituality. I'm not aware of it. So anything that you can just put focus on.
What do you mean by different types of spirituality?
Okay, somebody has said that there are some social spirituality, then personal spirituality, then religious spirituality. So they have made a categories of it.
Well, it seems, you see, spirituality is just one, but it can be expressed in various ways.
Various ways. Okay.
Like someone, for some people, to be spiritual is to help others. So for them, if depending on how you define all these different kinds of spirituality, you may say that person is interested in social spirituality. But for another person, to become spiritual is to become more meditative. Then for that person may express his or her spirituality in a more personal way. You may say it is more sadhana,
Authoritative, they call it, yeah.
Or a mystical spirituality.
Mystical spirituality, yeah.
Another person, to become spiritual is to join some organization, join an ashram. So that is also like called a institutional spirituality.
Yes.
Another person, to become spiritual is all of a sudden to start reading scriptures, attending classes and studying. So that you may call it intellectual spirituality.
Yes, knowledge. Yeah.
Spirituality itself is just one, but depending on the person, it is expressed in different ways, depending on the temperament of the person. That is why we say, you see, we have 4 yogas: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Raj Yoga.
Yes.
But yoga is just one. Yoga is to unite with God.
Yeah, uniting with God. Yes.
How do we do that?
To go, yeah.
How do we do that? It depends on my temperament. If I am more active, I will do it through Karma Yoga. If I am more emotional, I will do it through Bhakti Yoga.
Bhakti Yoga, yes.
But yoga itself is just one.
Yes.
In that way, spirituality itself is only one. There is only one spirituality. But depending on the person and that person's temperament, it is expressed in different ways. So people are giving it, just to make it more interesting.
Interesting, yes.
Just to
more convenient.
More convenient, and so as to attract more people.
Yes.
To make it more attractive to different kinds of people. They are giving these different ways, different names of spirituality.
Makes sense. I think, and as you said in the beginning, that there are stages of life or wisdom. At what stage you are, accordingly is your grasping power, accordingly is your understanding power. So depending on that, you take the message. And to make it easy to every sector, this is the way to put forward, is what I understand from your description. There is, now that when we say that you should practice this and you should detach yourself and time and again think about your divinity, think about the existence of God and your own identity in a Adhyatmic way. Isn't it that it is so much of my desire to become spiritual or divine that I'm suppressing my materialistic desires, and I'm trying to become something which is actually not my sabha, or which is I'm not ready for it, for that matter. Is it a dangerous phase?
You see, if one does it consciously, like I feel that I'm going out for a movie. Okay? This is not good for my spiritual life. So, by the way, don't misunderstand me.
No.
I don't want to go for movies, okay?
No. I know you are giving an example. Yeah.
I'm just giving an example.
You can take me instead of you.
No, I mean, I'm talking about everyone. People should go for movies and enjoy themselves. Yes. You see that God wants us to be happy, no matter what, so long as we don't hurt anyone. So I don't say that going for movies is the wrong thing. But giving an example, if I feel that I should not go for this movie because it harms me, harms my spiritual life, I do it consciously and I use my viveka, then it is not suppression. I am convincing myself that this is not for me. It's like I have diabetes and I should not eat this sweet. Of course, I have the desire to eat sweets, but I'm trying to convince myself. I'm using my viveka. So that is not suppression. I am trying to channelize my desire in the right direction. But if I do it without viveka, if I just beat up myself and say, you're not going to do this, and then that can lead to suppression. So it depends. If I'm trying to use my viveka, if I'm convincing myself using proper logical, rational, spiritual arguments, then that is not suppression. Another thing about is you use the word swabhav, going against one's swabhav. But in spiritual life, we are trying to transform ourselves also.
Yes.
So what we are trying to do is change our swabhav. So if we do go against our swabhav, there is nothing wrong in it. That is what we are trying to do. There is our lower self. We want to change that lower self.
And go higher.
And go higher. See, there is only one energy, that is mother.
Yes.
Shakti is only mother. Now, part of that Shakti is going to the lower self and part of it is going to the higher self. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to convince my own self, my Shakti, to not go to that lower self, to those other drainage areas where all my Shakti is dissipating. Instead, go to the higher energy. So I am changing my swabhav. I am changing my sanskaras. But as long as I do it using viveka, it is not suppression.
That is the whole journey, changing yourself and going higher and higher.
Yes, it is to change one's swabhav. That itself is becoming spiritual. But I do think that spiritual journey should not be very negative. Like, I want to change myself. Okay, I may have this weakness. And I want to get rid of it, or I want to change it, or I want to channelize it into something positive. But it should not be so, we should not feel so negative about ourselves. We should not beat up ourselves. Spiritual life should be joyous.
Yes.
And it should be saral. It should be simple.
Yes.
And life affirming. We should not feel bad about ourselves.
Don't be harsh with yourself.
Exactly. One should be gentle with oneself. So once in a while you enjoy yourself. It is permissible.
Permissible,
God does not want us to be unhappy. We are His children. He does not want us to beat ourselves up. Some amount of discipline is very good. And we must use our vivek to discipline ourselves. But it should be a sattvic vivek, a sattvic discipline. It should not be tamasic.
Tamasic, yes.
Otherwise, becoming morbid, depressed, having a long face, feeling negative, angry about oneself
and others.
Being negative about others.
Yes.
That is not a sign of spirituality.
Yes.
It is better to indulge in our weaknesses and to have a joyous temperament. Instead of being very strict and having having a very high moral ground.
Yes.
And have a very negative temperament.
True.
It's better to have a weakness.
Yes.
To be joyous
and be happy. Yes.
And be happy. There's nothing wrong in having a little weaknesses.
True.
In fact, if and you have 2-3 weaknesses, it would make you a little cuter even.
True. In fact, yes. In fact, since you and I belong to the same organization, of course, your authority is bigger than mine. But in those examples also, we have seen that Thakur and Ma always pampered the disciples and children in terms of food, comfort, food, other things, because they want them to be happy and joyous and not make this journey as a dry journey. And
exactly. Yes.
Mataji, a very, 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 very important topic I want to talk to you now. In Bhagavad Gita, also in the third Adhyaya, 22nd verses, Bhagwan has said that, no, in 21st actually, Yadda acharati shreshta tatta devato janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastha tadu vartate. So, whatever the superior person does, the other crowd or people will follow him. And also, the authorized person should uphold his or her doings so that the crowd or the masses following him or her should not get misguided or misled. Um, now, preaching is a very important part of any social factor, because people do follow spiritual leaders, people do follow intellectuals. But somewhere, as you say, we have seen that in the process of advising or preaching the masses, the person himself is not having that much of credentials. How and who should take the role of preaching? One, who is entitled to guide the people, and three, how do we know whom to follow as a layman?
Yes, you are right. This is very, very sensitive and very important question. Purely from the point of Sri Ramakrishna. If you ask Sri Ramakrishna, what would he say? He would say, we should give up this idea of preaching whatsoever. When the person is ready, when the flower is ready, the bees will come on its own. So nobody should make any attempt. I'm talking just from the point of view of the preacher, and I'm talking about genuine preaching,
Yes.
Giving spirituality to others.
Yes.
No one should take up the task of preaching to another person. When the person is ready, the situation will unfold. Automatically, the situation will become that he or she will be preaching other people without making effort.
Yes.
That is actually real spiritual preaching. He or she does not make any attempt to preach. He or she just lives a spiritual life, lives a life intoxicated with God, or full of spiritual joy, or bliss, or whatever, in whatever way, according to that personality.
Yes.
Automatically, he or she will influence other people, and the situation will change so that people will come to him for spiritual advice. There is no such thing as advertising oneself or convincing others through words. If someone asks you, it's a different thing.
Yes.
But go out of one's way and say, oh, well, you do this and you do that, it's not going to be like that. So I think I have answered the first question, right?
Yes.
The true preacher is the one who makes no attempt to preach. The scenario of preaching will grow on its own.
But बड़ी जल्दी होती है लोगों को preaching करने.
They are not ready for preaching. See, this not only preaching, many things. To want to preach, meaning you are not ready.
Acha.
To want to preach, if I want to preach, I want, means I'm not ready to preach.
That's not the wisdom.
No, that is not wisdom. I must want only to live a God-centered life to the best of my ability, in the most humble way I can. I am your instrument. I do not do anything. Whatever you want me to do, you do through me, and make blessed by making me your instrument. I do not do anything. Teacher, and he or she should just live a spiritual life.
Yes.
Preaching will happen on its own when the time is right.
Time is right. Yes.
That time may not happen in this lifetime even. It might happen. Yes. What is the hurry? God does his own preaching. It is our ahankar that we think we are preaching. And as long as this ahankar is there, we cannot preach. It is impossible. We will destroy others
Hmm.
and we will destroy ourselves.
Yes. But you know what? I still want to go deeper in this topic. Uh, People do want peace of mind. People do want that pure joy. And in this process, they do get attracted to such personalities who offer them externally something. And as you say, many people get into that, and then somewhere I give benefit of doubt that okay, at least some channel has opened for them, better than nothing. But somewhere I also do fear or have a concern about it, like they should not get misled, they should not get guided, and they should not get lost into these things rather than focusing on their own self development. So like, um, we say that atmano uddhar jagat hitaya, so that atma uddhar is very very important, but that's not happening. So somewhere this is a alert or a kind of a strong message that do not be in hurry to preach.
Yes. Yeah, no, one should not make any attempt to preach.
Yes.
Now, about these people who are getting misled,
Mm.
if the person, if the sadhaka, if the spiritual aspirant gets any kind of experience that I am going to such and such a person,
Mm.
and this person wants my money,
Mm.
or he is not spiritual, he is underhanded, he is a fraud of any kind, then that person must stay away from such people. And if there is some obvious example of some transgression of kanchan or kanchan, if there is some transgression in that, then that person, it is the individual's responsibility to stay away from that guru.
It is your individual choice.
Yes, one must. If I am going to someone and I feel that he is after someone's money, or he's after something immoral or unethical, or doing something underhanded, then I am a mature, a grown person. We have our own vivek. I should stay away from him. Okay, that is, I have to do that. I cannot blame another person that why is he posing as a preacher.
Yes.
No, I cannot blame him. I have to stay away from him. He will. Every people do what they want to do.
Correct. It is my weakness that I'm not able to understand it.
Yes, but another thing also I will tell you. Suppose I am innocent and I have there is some guru who has been a fool of me and has taken my money. And I have given him money out of pure motive.
Pure motive, yes.
It will not harm me. No, because I have done it with the right attitude.
With good intentions, yes.
With good intention. So it is going to my God.
Yes.
It is going towards my spiritual journey.
Yes.
It does not harm me. It will harm him, of course, him or her. That it definitely will do. But I have given with the best of intentions. I have given my hard-earned money, or whatever bad experience I have been good. My intention is good. So even that bad experience will take me further on my spiritual journey. So the example you gave me, like someone went somewhere for 2-3 days and they feel they have done something which is spiritually very profitable, but they have been duped. But no, they have not been. They have done it with the good intention to take them further on their spiritual journey. Though the middleman, though that guru may be a fraud,
yes.
Even then it will go to God only.
Yes.
Because the person who has given, the sadhak who has given it, he has given it to God who he sees
in that person, yes.
Correct. No, that person may be a fraud.
Correct. Karmane.
Yes.
So he has done it with the intention of divine feeling, and that will go to such purpose. It won't be misused.
Okay. No.
Yeah, I think
it will not harm him spiritually.
Perfect. You use one word, Mataji, maturity. This is coming from many more discussions. Like the thing that you think you can do at the age of 25, 26, you are skeptical about it at the age of 40. You do not have a courage to do that, what you could do it at 25, 28. Does that mean that accepting the inability to do the things is maturity?
It can be both ways. It could be that person is mature, knows her or his limits. Okay, this is how much I can do.
Limitations.
How much I can do. If I do more than this, I will be physically or whatever way I will be harming myself. It is not wise. On the other hand, it could be that person has lost confidence, or is lazy,
yes,
or is afraid. So it could be either way. It is very difficult for a third person to decide. So your question is regarding oneself or regarding a third person? See, does this question mean I am trying to judge my own maturity, or am I trying to judge another person's maturity?
No, in general, it is my maturity. Individually, I'm asking. Like when you know that nothing is in your hands. You are just an instrument, or so that is a part of a wisdom that okay, you are not the one who is doing. Doer is somebody else. You are not the doer. Is a part of a spiritual wisdom. But somewhere there is inability, or as you say, reluctance, or no confidence in doing the things. So do we call it as maturity is what my question was. So, but then you rightly said this is there are two different things, knowingly and unknowingly. That is a difference between that. One last question, Mataji. Everyone, how much ever successful or how much ever stable materialistically that person is, there is still a dark shadow of uncertainty and insecurity in life. People do have a fear of losing property, losing wealth, losing power, and losing our own people as well. And a solid grief, like we saw during the pandemic and other such natural calamity, as wherein you are not mentally prepared for it, and then suddenly it comes as a shocker. How to console such souls, and also how to face such situations?
This is the test of one's spirituality. It is in such times that one realizes how spiritual one is. It is easier said than done. It's very easy to say. But really implemented in one's life, when that situation arises, it's very, very difficult. It is very easy for me or anyone to talk.
Yes.
But what happens when the real situation comes to test me?
True.
The only thing is to have more faith in God. Yes. That there is this person who is inside me, not only inside me, but inside everyone. We are also in him. There is nothing but mother in this universe.
Yes.
In mother also, all this chaos, all this pandemic, all this corruption and abuse and grief and all these wars that are going on, all this is happening in mother. In mother itself, all this is happening. We are all
part
babies sleeping on our mother's lap. Nothing can take mother's lap away from us. Like a baby who sleeps peacefully in his mother's lap. We are always in mother's lap, no matter what the situation is. We must remind ourselves throughout the day that we are always safe, full of peace, full of bliss, full of joy in our mother's lap, no matter what is going on outside. Your first question was, during the day, how we can be tuned towards
divinity. Yes.
During the day, just before taking one morsel of food or drinking one sip from our cup, to remember I am sitting or sleeping, relaxed and safe in my mother's lap. Always. Nothing can, this is the only truth. Everything else is mithya. Everything else is temporary. All these wars, all this loss of property, this person's death, my health, my wealth, everything is mithya. The only thing is we are safe and secure in mother's lap. Only she is real. Everything is unreal. But when we are told this in the time of crisis, it will be difficult to take.
to grab it. Yes.
The only way is to remember it on good days when there is no crisis. Like you said, throughout the day, once in a while, close our eyes and feel the joy of being in mother's lap. When we make a practice of this, then when the calamity hits, it will be easier to digest that,
to face
calamity.
it.
Yes. There is no quick fix. This is the only solution. There is no medicine that we can take and finally
just stand to face it. It's not possible.
Yes, abhyas, just to remind ourselves of our real nature and of that mother is always with us. And it is true also, even things like death, take so much of dying and death. But, death is really nothing to be afraid of. Like say, for example, you work during the whole year. Then finally you want to go on a vacation someplace for 15 days. You pack your bag, take all things in your bag, and you go to some hill station.
Yes.
And you go to some hotel or ashram, you unpack, you stay there for some days.
Yes.
Again, you come back, you pack up your bag, you come back to your home. This is what life is. When it is time to go to another place, instead of our clothes in our bag, we pack our karma and our samskaras. We pack our bag and leave this body to go to another house. And we open our bag, which is our karma and our samskaras, and we stay there for some time. Again, we pack and go to another house. This is what death is. We must remind ourselves also of death, that makes us strong. That makes us strong to face, gives us strength to face calamity, crisis. It makes us strong. And it makes us peaceful and blissful also. That nothing is going to happen to me. What is going to happen? Nothing is going to happen. We imagine things and make it worse. Nothing will happen. Mother is always with us. What we deserve, we will get. And we will get only what we deserve. And no power on this earth can take away from us what we deserve.
Yes. And when we deserve.
Yes. And when we deserve. Yes.
समय से पहले और आवश्यकता से ज्यादा किसी को कुछ नहीं मिलता.
कुछ नहीं मिलता. And even if we get something bad, that also makes us mature. It's a learning. Also, yes, it will take us further on our spiritual path. I will give you an example.
Sure.
When this green revolution took place, first found out all fertilizers and pesticides and seeds. Because of that, now we can grow so much wheat and rice. Now we can feed all this growing population.
Yes.
What has happened is wonderful. This is a great invention. And now, after 20 years, what is everybody trying to do? Eat organic.
Yes.
Everybody wants to eat organic, right?
Yes.
Organic. This is very bad. Green revolution, it has destroyed everything. So it's a good thing. After 20 years, it has become a bad thing. Similarly, this 5G is coming. Everybody is excited about 5G, but there are people who are saying that it is going to affect us. It is going to harm us.
Yes.
Afterwards, we will find that, oh my God, this good thing has become a bad thing. Similarly, bad things in life later on become good things. So we do not know what is good and bad.
So as they say, change is the only constant thing.
Yes, change is the only, and it is always good.
Good thing. Okay.
A sign of spirituality is to have a very positive outlook towards life and everything that happens in life. Everything happens by the will of Mother,
Okay.
and it happens only for our good. Though at the time we may think it is a bad thing.
God provides you what you need to deal with that situation. You just have to have that faith and surrender, and never feel that you're helpless or left alone. He gives you the exact thing what is required to give you the strength and protection and equip
Yes,
you to
very true.
face that situation.
Very true. Very true. Yes, yes. That is the experience of every sadhaka. It is
Yes.
so true. Yes.
So
He-
whatever happens
Mm.
happens for good is what you are saying.
Yes, yes.
And divinity is within us, so we have to
Yes.
believe in that, and
Yes.
God exists in every one of us. We should believe in that as well, and surrender to him or her, your chosen deity. And yes, ma, final
Yes.
words.
And not only he is in us,
Mm.
we are in him.
Mirror him. Mm.
You see, it is easy to think that he is in us
Mm.
for the most part. But it is not just he is in us. We are in him.
Mm.
We are living in this world, all this air,
Mm.
nothing but Mother.
Mother, yes.
Air that we are breathing, nothing but Mother.
Mm.
This
Creation of
laptop
God.
in front of you is nothing but Mother. This chair we are sitting up, we are sitting in Mother's chair. We are drinking her food, eating
Eating her food. Oh,
everything is Mother. We are in Mother. We are surrounded. It is like an ocean of bliss, peace, and happiness.
happiness. Mm.
Everywhere Mother is, there is nothing but her.
पूर्णमिदं पूर्णमदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति 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 शांति. धन्यवाद, ma. It was wonderful, enriching, and divine talking to you.